All right, welcome to the Explainer. So, there's been a huge announcement that seems to connect Ripple with one of the biggest banks in the world. But here's the kicker. According to the thesis we're breaking down today, this isn't just some random piece of news. Nope. It's supposedly the final move in a 4-year master plan.
All right, let's get right into it. So this one little line from an announcement by BNY Mellon, the world's largest custody bank, by the way, has got a lot of people claiming that a long-game strategy involving Ripple is finally seeing the light of day. But what in the world does that actually mean?
So what is this big announcement all about? Well, it comes down to something called tokenized deposits. And in plain English, that just means BNY Mellon has launched a service to turn their big institutional clients' cash into, well, programmable digital assets that live on a blockchain.
And look, the source material is really hammering this point home. This is not some little side project or experiment. We're talking about serious, heavy-duty, institutional-grade infrastructure here, built to bridge the old world of finance with the new world of digital assets. And right there in the announcement, Ripple Prime is named as one of the very first ones to jump on board and use it.
Okay, but here is where the story really gets juicy. The core argument from the source is that this didn't just happen overnight. Instead, this is supposed to be the final piece of a puzzle that's been carefully, maybe even secretly, put together over the last 4 years.
So when you look at this timeline, what's really fascinating is the pattern that the source claims is there. You see, one after another, companies that are already in Ripple's ecosystem, think G-Treasury, OpenEden, Securitize, they all started making their own direct connections with BNY Mellon. The idea here is that this created this web of connections, all pointing toward the same endgame.
So when you lay it all out like this, chronologically, the source argues that a really clear picture starts to form. It looks like a deliberate strategic placement of partners and tech, all building up to this one big announcement. But of course, there's a twist. The announcement had one little detail that really threw a wrench in the works for a lot of people, and it raised a ton of skepticism. And it all boils down to what kind of blockchain they're using.
And right away, this was the big question on everyone's mind. You know, if BNY Mellon is running this on a private permission blockchain, basically a closed system, then where does a public crypto like XRP even fit in? Is it being used at all?
Okay, so the source's whole explanation for this comes down to this one core idea. The argument goes like this. Of course, institutions are going to start with private, controlled systems. You can think of them like walled gardens. They do it for security, for control, for compliance. But here's the thing. For those walled gardens to be really useful, you need a way to connect them, right? You need neutral bridges to move value from one garden to another. And that, the source argues, is the exact job XRP was built for. And, you know, this whole neutral bridge idea, it's not just some convenient excuse. It ties directly into Ripple's biggest, most ambitious goal, something they've been talking about for years, building the Internet of Value. For what feels like forever, Ripple's whole mission has been to build the basic plumbing for this Internet of Value. And if you listen to their leadership, they've always said that a neutral bridge asset is absolutely crucial to making that vision a reality. The source points to this quote right here from Ripple's CEO to really drive the point home. The argument is that XRP is meant to be the core asset for all of their big boy institutional products, and that includes Ripple Prime, the exact service that was just named in the BNY Mellon partnership.
Okay, so a totally fair question at this point is, if all this incredible strategic work has been happening behind the scenes, why hasn't the market, reacted more? Well, the source suggests that maybe everyone's just looking at the wrong thing.
See, the core argument here isn't about short-term price hype or those daily ups and downs on a chart. It's about building the long-term financial pipes. We're talking about the fundamental plumbing for the future of finance, and that's the kind of stuff that gets built slowly, quietly, way behind the scenes.
And just to give you a sense of the scale we're dealing with here, let's put this in perspective. The total assets that BNY Mellon looks after, we're talking about something like $55 trillion. That dwarfs the entire crypto market by almost 20 times. That's the massive scale of the system that's now starting to plug into this new technology. It's huge.
All right, so let's tie this all together. Let's recap the thesis we've just walked through. First, you've got this major partnership between BNY Mellon and Ripple. Step 2, the thesis argues this is the payoff of a 4-year plan. Step 3, it addresses that big question about private blockchains with the neutral bridge theory for XRP. And finally, the ultimate vision here isn't about hype, it's about building an internet of value on top of brand new financial pipes.
And that really brings us to the final big picture question. What you should take away from all this isn't a prediction. It's a question. Are we, right now, quietly watching the foundational merger of traditional finance and crypto happen right before our eyes? Thanks for watching The Explainer.